Make better money choices. Choose a bank that takes your money seriously. Business Watch is brought to you by Nedbank.
It is exactly a minute after 2 p.m. Central African Time. This is Nedbank Business Watch, the very first episode of the year 2025. We hope we can still say compliments of the new year to our loyal viewers at home. And if we are not allowed, you will allow us today, just to say, because we really do wish you a very, very bountiful and fruitful new year, the year 2025, as we continue to navigate the world of finances, particularly looking at some of the offerings that Nedbank offers us that are tailored for you. A very good afternoon to you, and good afternoon to my co-host Lulu. You look lovely today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Compliments to you as well.
Good afternoon to our viewers as well, and welcome to the first episode of Nedbank Business Watch this year. We are on the 15th day of January 2025. We do hope that 2024, and looking forward to have you join us again for all the episodes of Business Watch this year. My name is Unglela Makakula. Thank you for tuning in to watch us on our YouTube page, Eswatini, as well as DSTV channel 286. Good afternoon and welcome to Nedbank Business Watch.
Lulu, we are going to have an interesting conversation today, steering through the complex maze of financial solutions demands, both precision and foresight. And our guest today embodies just that. His name is Charles Mkonda. He's the head of sales support at Nedbank Eswatini. He's the mastermind behind strategies that not only demystify financial services, but they also ensure they resonate with the true needs of the customer, the true needs of yourself at home. And this afternoon, we want to uncover the approach behind initiatives like the back-to-school personal loan, which is, of course, a vital tool for many families. We're going to dive into a journey, the vision, as well as the meticulous efforts driving these transformative solutions. I'm sure, Lulu, you will agree with me, and I know me and you, we don't have kids right now, but we do have relatives that have kids, and I'm sure you've seen the stresses they're running around, just
especially around this time,
to organize school things for the kids.
Looking forward to that interview's fee. So, and good afternoon once again. As we are still at the beginning of the year, today we'll look at the mammoth task of Monetary Policy Consultative Committee as they advise the Central Bank of Eswatini on monetary policy. Today, in-house economist Annelies Bia will join us via Zoom to give us projections for the year, focusing on the inflation trajectory and interest rates path that will guide the country's economic policy and also decision-making in the coming months. And as of October 2024, the Central Bank of Eswatini, CBE, projected that Eswatini's inflation rate would be 4.9% in 2025. This is a downward revision from the previous forecast of 5.0%. We want to have a discussion with Mr. Sbia on his projections for the interest rate 2025. To stay with us.
Yeah, we do have a very, very packed agenda on the show today. Our viewers are sure to also catch the market analysis today with the people from Nedbank helping us navigate some of the numbers there, the indices of the day, as we continue to try and understand really how to invest as Eswatini, as well as to, how to invest as individuals, looking at major global indices. It's going to be a show that you do not want to miss. Stay with us.
Yeah, right about now, let's go straight to our first story. This is Nedbank Business Watch.
Digital helps you make cross-border payments. Human gives you global specialists. Digital allows you to apply for a loan anytime, anywhere. Human connects you to credit experts. Digital puts you in control of your money, while Human connects you to wealth advisors. Digital allows you to freeze, unfreeze, cancel, and reorder your card. Human gives you that personal touch. Digital when you want it. Human when you need it. Get the complete private banking experience with Nedbank Private Clients.
Welcome back. It's 5 minutes after 2. You're still watching Nedbank Business Watch. Thank you for tuning in. Let's go straight to our first story.
Yeah. In a world that is becoming increasingly globalized, exporting is a key driver of economic development, job creation, as well as sustainability, as stated by government, emphasizing the need to increase exports. Now, as Eswatini looks to diversify its economy, expanding its export markets is more important now than ever. Chairperson on the Eswatini Coffee Nursery, Patrick DuPont, has given advice that has helped a lot of other businesses as they venture into exports. DuPont's business has a yearly turnover of 500,000 emalangeni.
It's a matter of how they've grouped themselves in terms of the commodity that they want to export. Because the bargaining power lies in quantity. And second, it's certification. Let them go to the relevant ministry and see their product. What are the compliance issues that they need to deal with? In terms of aid, let them go to the relevant ministry again. They will assist them that which maybe sort of certification they can assist with in terms of the INGALE. That one is open for every SME, for every different product that is coming out of Eswatini. It's not like discriminatory to say, oh, we are focusing on agricultural. Like, let's say, for instance, we've got the SMEs who are focusing on pastries, biscuits, peanut butter. You know, the list is endless. So I can say for every entrepreneur who wants to export, it's easy. For you is to make sure that you work together with the government, with the different embassies, with the different stakeholders, which are there. Otherwise, there is all the information you need in the country pertaining how you can export. It is very important that you should know that you are not bringing in a unique product in terms of, let's say you want to export biscuits. There are so many brands of biscuits. But for you, first of all, align yourself with those products which you think are the best.
The environmental impact of used tires and the rising costs of car maintenance are creating challenges for both the planet and the pocketbook. As the cost of maintaining vehicles continues to climb, many motorists are turning to used tires. But is it worth the environmental cost? The Eswatini Environment Authority has raised concerns about these businesses. One of the biggest suppliers of the second-hand tires in Matapa, Yonda Superfit, says consumers opt for these tires as they are cheaper.
The Eswatini Environment Authority has raised a concern about the huge number of used tires entering the country, saying they pose an environmental hazard as there is no proper process of disposal. On the other side of the coin, the rising costs of car maintenance have left many drivers without options. We talked to one of the businesses in Matsapa, and the supervisor, Elliot Bangu, says these tires are of great help to Emaswati.
The second-hand tires mainly is beneficial to the Swazi people, especially to those who cannot afford the new tires. It's in high demand because they obtain them cheaper because we sell them at an affordable price, like the 17565 14. We sell them at 380. And even though we sell at 380, we're not getting much from that price because we are also feeling for the Swazi people so that they can have a benefit for their cars, so that they can be able to move. The problem that we are facing here at the moment is that the market, South African market for new tires, we cannot get it because all those companies, they kept that company for, those markets for themselves.
On the issue of these tires posing an environmental hazard, he says they are ready to work with the authority to find solutions, citing that there is no designated place for businesses to dispose the tires in the country.
The tire that has been bought in South Africa as new and come and sold in Swaziland, and then it's been used. And then when they take it out from the car, and then you can say this one's from South Africa and this one's from overseas. So here, there is no huge landfill that they dispose the tires. So what happens here, after all the people that buy tires from our company, the very same customer, they come to buy this, to take these tires that we're taking out from the cars. They load for themselves for free because they say they are cleaning, they are making leveling of their ground in their homesteads, like they are building in the mountains and all that. They come here, they fetch them for free, we give them those tires for free. And then there's no way we can say South African tires are safe, overseas tires are like this or not safe.
Motorists say despite seeing the threat to the environment, the used tires are all they can afford.
Ema-tires bambisa thina nje mina lapha kunayami moto solo ngathela umnyaka lophelile solo ngigijima ngawo wona la ngalashiphi labo 200 and something sifike swa negotiate khona lana ngoba asikhona asifinyeleli kulanga lamanye lamasha ladulile sizama sincenge kulawa lama second hand ama 14 asibambizi angiphatha kahle kakhulu and affordable akusima tile ngathi no wathi ngokhanisa kakhuthuza kakhulu Wayback nje ukhanza singilithanga abo 380 kulama 215 la ikhapha nje ngivama ukuthanga la matsala affordable baba and ayalast.
The Eswatini Environment Authority has promised that it will work with the private sector to bring the necessary changes to laws in an effort to preserve the environment and also make sure that these businesses are sustainable. For Nedbank Business Watch, Nelson Ngamandla, Vuminkosi Nzinisa Mbabane.
With those two stories, that is how we cap off our business news for the day.
Yes, stay with us. After the break, we connect with Mr. Sibia and we have a discussion on inflation and interest rates. Right, so welcome back. You're so watching Nedbank Business Watch. Thank you for staying with us. We now connect with Mr. Sibia. The Eswatini National Provident Fund has announced an increase to statutory contributions that will affect both employers and employees across the country. Mlungisi Dlamini, Senior Marketing and Communications Officer, says the changes are necessary to address the growing demand on the system and to keep pace with economic changes. He had a conversation with business journalist Nelson Ngamandla where he explained in detail these changes. We'll get into that interview later. We now connect with Mr. Sibia to have a discussion with him on the projections and interest rates for 2025. Very good afternoon, Mr. Sibia. Thank you for tuning in to Nedbank Business Watch. We recall that as of October 2024, the Central Bank of Eswatini projected that Eswatini's inflation rate would be 4.9% in 2025. This is a downward, of course, revision from the previous forecast of 5.5%. What are your projections for the first quarter of the year?
Good afternoon, Lou, and thank you for having me. So, as you rightly put it, we kind of had those projections around the 4.2 to around 5% confidence band. But, a lot of moving factors have since come into play. We're seeing the improvements in the Gaza situation, and there's a ceasefire right on the cards. There's a lot of volatility and uncertainty around that Ukraine-Russia conflict and the entire Trump factor and tariffs. So right now, we would really expect that given the uncertainty, more especially over Trump, we should expect to be at above the midpoint of 4.5%, but not in the first quarter, but probably towards the second half of the year once the Trump effect sets in. So right now, within the first quarter, we should expect to normalize it around 4.2% in terms of inflation.
Yeah. So what would an inflation mean for Eswatini, particularly in this economy? What would be the impact of an inflation?
So what we've been trying to caution, and what the policy move that we've been trying to get the government to implement is to actually acknowledge the fact that the cost of living pressures are very high on the household sector, particularly. And what we need is policies that are going to somehow alleviate that cost of living pressure while we look for other sources of growth. So if we're then to see a resurgence of an inflationary spiral, then that would effectively mean that, as we were thinking that pressure is now diffusing and within the household sector, it would also actually be mounting again, and that would mean households need now to find other ways and need to adjust even further when really they have no room to adjust their consumption patterns and their expenditure patterns. So it would be quite an unfortunate situation.
Yeah. So I think in June this year, the corporate sector showed signs of increased financial distress, and losses surged to over 20 billion emalangeni. With these losses, what is the economic future for Eswatini this year?
The interest rate story has been quite pivotal to the entire economic performance because remember, post-COVID, we saw this very rapid, this rapid normalization, as they would call it, when we knew that interest rates had to get back to pre-COVID levels. And even post-COVID levels because inflation was running amok. So right now, we kind of expecting interest rates to come down back to that level, at least that pre-COVID level. And now, when you juxtapose that, this is an economy that somehow thrived during COVID because interest rates were low. It was quite easy to get things moving. So right now, for businesses to have to cope with that hard money or that hard lending environment, it became a bit difficult and a bit strenuous. So right now, what we'd expect is if we're to at least to maintain the 7.25 or at least even move to levels that were those pre-COVID, those pre-pandemic levels, then we should expect that kind of capital injection to boost businesses. And also if inflation goes down, that ought to also boost inflation. But we don't need to see our businesses taking such huge losses because we know what that means. It means unemployment and whatnot. As soon as, businesses are trying to adjust to that new those loss regions in terms of their production capabilities, that means that they have to cut down on orders and quite a number of things. So we really do need to provide the right support to businesses, government, and as the nation at large. And largely, we also do need to ensure that government pays suppliers on time because the very sad thing about this economy is 98% of the people who are in business are basically targeting government. So if government is not paying on time, then the entire value chain gets disrupted.
Yeah. With the looming inflation, can we expect food inflation in 2025 to increase?
Yes, we would expect that because, I mean, if you look at the rains, they have actually come, but they've come a tad bit later than one would have ideally expected the rains to come. Would have expected to start seeing rains say around October, November-ish, thereabout, but we only started seeing rains, like serious rains, like right now. So it then remains to be seen if farmers are still going to go into the fields and plant, more especially the staple food, which is maize, if the time still allows. So given those weather interruptions, the late onset of rain, that tends to affect the production. And if the production is affected, then it means essentially we will have to import quite a lot of the food that we're importing. And sadly, this time around, even South Africa and the region are facing the very similar conditions that we are facing. So most likely the imports would have to really come from abroad, given this current El Nino situation that we are seeing as a country.
Yeah, and also I suppose, Mrs. Spear, we can also expect fuel prices and tariffs hike this year.
Yeah, but in terms of fuel prices, Lou, we might actually not see that much of a hike, depending on how we resolve Gaza and depending on how the Russia-Ukraine war is resolved. And President Trump seems to be on course to solve those things within the first 100 days. So that ought to take away that supply constraint pressure, and we might see fuel prices stabilizing or even going below that 20 mark. And also the exchange rate has actually been somewhat favorable in the past few months until just the November. But in terms of the exchange rate, Trump is coming in strong and blowing the dollar. And we do know that tariffs are actually going to come, but that is going to have an impact on our exports, probably into the US. And we don't know how the other countries like China, the UK, the Eurozone are actually going to react to those tariffs. Are they going to be bilateral or they're going to be blanket tariffs? So it's those adjustments that we are going to see, and it still remains to be seen how that trade wars that is brewing is actually going to play out, and tariffs are going to be at the center of that war.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Bia, for your insight on this topic. That was in-house economist Sanellis Bia, just having a discussion with him on his projections on inflation and interest rates for the year 2025. Let's go for an ad break. We'll be right back.
Business Watch this Wednesday. Thank you for staying with us again and joining us this year. We had a really, really good run last year, 2024, and we plead with you that you continue to stay with us again this year in 2025 as we navigate the intricate world of financial solutions. Today, we navigate another one that requires a steady hand and a sharp mind. Our guest this afternoon exemplifies just that, Charles Mkonda. He's the head of sales support at Nedbank Eswatini. He stands at the helm of strategies that not only simplify complex financial offerings, but they also ensure that they meet the very heart of your needs, the customer needs. Today, we delve into the art as well as the science that is behind tailoring solutions like the back to school personal loan. Yes, it is the time of the year, a lifeline for countless families. And right now, let's explore exactly that. Charles, welcome to the program. A very good afternoon to you.
Thank you.
Maybe let's start by understanding an overview of this important loan. We understand it's January. December, January, and the early days of February are regarded back to school days. So I suppose this becomes an important offering. Just walk us through this loan.
Thank you so much. As you have said, this is particularly a stressful time, especially for us parents who have to go through so many expenses during this month. You can imagine you need to get new school uniforms, you need to pay for transportation fees, you pay for... That's over and above the school fees that you are supposed to pay upfront. So it's quite demanding on us as parents. So as Nedbank, we then offer this loan, which comes through as a lifesaver at this time, because it just has simple requirements, and it comes through at a very short period. So the period of application is quite short, and you are able to get it just like that.
Yeah, it's quite, the challenge acquiring everything that you need for your children to go back to school. And I'm thinking about it right now. The school shoes, there's, the whole uniform. You have to think about transport fees. You have to think about, like you said, over and above the school fees, which have become very, very exorbitant. And the stationery, there's the lunchbox. It's quite a lot. One may require a loan, especially coming back from December, Charles, where we spend lots and lots of money. But I do want us to get into the key features and the benefits of this loan. What makes this back-to-school personal loan stand out from other financial products?
Okay, thank you so much. Mainly, the good thing about this loan is you get a large lump sum up front as compared to the others, being your overdraft and your credit cards, which could be smaller amounts and may not be able to cater for this position. So the personal loan is able to not only cater for the school-related expenses, but also for other expenses. As you have mentioned, we're coming through from December, where we have spent quite a lot in terms of all the functions that we were going to, and basically everything that pertains to December. So January comes as such a stressful time. As you know, they usually say it's January. So we are just taking out that stress and ensuring that you get that lump sum that just caters for everything. And the good thing about a personal loan is we don't make judgment on how you use it. You get that lump sum, you can use it anyhow. So whatever comes up, even if it's an emergency not related to the school fees, then you'd be able to cater for that as well.
Nedbank is saying remove the worry from January and, get this back-to-school loan, which you need very, very urgently, if you will. But I think I like the fact that, it comes with a lot of key features. But I also do want to understand, repayment terms, interest rates, flexibility for clients with varying incomes.
Thank you so much for touching on that. That's another good thing about this loan is you are able to also top it up at some point in time when you need it once again. So it can be a recurring loan that you use over a period of time, such that even in January 2026, for instance, you could be coming back and getting the same loan and be able to cater for your expenses. And then in terms of interest rates, the personal loan has quite a fair rate compared to your other loans, being your credit cards and overdrafts, given that it's over a fixed period and you have a fixed amount. So it even makes sure that you are able to plan for your monthly expenses, given that you know exactly how much you'll be paying on a monthly basis.
Yeah, the biggest thing for particularly bank clients has been, the debate around convenience and the removal of barriers and formalities. You've mentioned that you've removed some formalities with this particular loan. Take me through, what makes this application process particularly easy, straightforward, and client-friendly.
Thank you. So all we need at the bank for this loan is your ID, your payslip, and a confirmation letter from your employer. That's all. all the
Three
documentation,
items.
just the 3 items, and then you're able to process an application through. And the good thing is, if you are employed by the government, we don't even need the letter of confirmation.
Wow.
So for government employees, we just need the ID and the payslip, and you're good to go. So we have, as Nedbank, tried to remove all the barriers that could pertain to you acquiring this loan.
Yeah, let's talk about the other advantages that you've briefly highlighted. We speak about the what sets it apart from other financial service markets. You've touched on overdrafts. You've touched on credit cards. Just brief me about this particular competitive advantage.
Thank you. So the personal loan is good in a way that it goes all the way up to 350,000 Malangeni. So you can imagine all the things that you can do with that amount. Yet with your overdrafts and your credit cards, you are getting lesser amounts than that. So that gives you the edge to be able to do quite a lot given this amount that we are giving to you.
You can pay for pretty much the whole year, even if it's a private school.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you can take care of even those discounts that you get from certain schools that maybe give you a 10% discount.
Yeah.
So you can take advantage of those given this loan.
Yeah, let's talk about real life applications, because I like to talk about practical use cases as well as benefits. For parents looking to make smart financial decisions, how can this loan help them to take advantage of back to school promotions and other discounts? I mean, of course, there's that 10% that you've alluded to, but I'm sure there's more.
There is quite more that you can take care of. As you can imagine, for instance, there are school trips that are associated with children going back to school.
Yes.
Those can also be paid for upfront, taking away the stress that is related to parents actually organizing for such. As you know, most of these school trips now go outside the country, to Durban, to Cape Town, wherever. So paying for it upfront and ensuring that the stress is even removed from your child.
Yeah.
Because you can imagine, if your child knows that you haven't paid for their school trip that they should be going to this year.
And I suppose you also eliminate what we see with a lot of parents in terms of buying uniforms. They buy them seasonally. You might as well, it's summertime right now. Winter clothes are normally cheaper, so you may want to stock up on those clothes as well for your kids should winter time come, as it will come. But does this also allow you to consolidate your other debts or home renovations, if you will?
Precisely. So this loan does not only just cater for your present needs. So if you need debt consolidation, it's the one loan that is able to do that just for you. So imagine the advantage of just paying one loan with only one interest rate.
Yeah.
You know exactly how much you're going to be paying on a monthly basis. So you're taking care of all these other small debts that could be creeping up for you, which would add more stress into your life. And yeah.
Nedbank does this thing where they offer transparency as well as, just fairness towards their clients. But this is particularly with regards to interest rates and repayment schedules. Does this account here as well?
Definitely. Most definitely, we will offer you a rate upfront that you will be happy with, and you will know your repayment terms. So what we do at the bank is we usually estimate or give you an estimate of how much you'll be paying on a monthly basis. You must bear in mind that all repayments are linked to prime. So as long as the prime rate hasn't increased or decreased, then your repayments will not change throughout the period. So we are able to give you quite an accurate estimate of how much you'll be paying throughout the period of the loan.
This show, as many other shows and other things in life, is viewed by people from all walks of life, and I'm sure also different tax brackets and the different income brackets, if you will. Speak to me about how Nedbank ensures clients from diverse financial backgrounds in accessing this product seamlessly.
So with this product, we've categorized it differently to cater for all Nedbank clients.
Okay.
So as long as you are a Nedbank client and you come in and apply for the loan, we should be able to cater for you from the lowest up to the highest of them all. So that's why we are giving you a maximum of the loan being 350,000, depending obviously on your affordability. So it's the affordability that counts, because remember, it is also one of our priority to ensure that we lend to clients that can afford, so as not to add to your stress afterwards.
Yeah. Absolutely. Someone that's listening at home right now and wants to get in touch with Nedbank as soon as right now, what are you saying to them? What are the first steps that they should take?
It's quite simple. You can call our help desk.
Okay, you can just look at that one. Yeah.
It's simple. You can call our help desk at 3278 1999, or you can also write to our help desk via email, helpdesk@nedbank.co.sz. Or if you're nearer, any of our branches can be able to help you. Any banker that you can speak to will be able to help you in this regard.
Yeah. Charles Mkonda, thank you so much for joining us. But I also do want to remind the viewers at home that you have social media platforms as well where you respond very, very fast. They're on X, they're on Facebook, as well as LinkedIn. Make sure that you get in touch with Nedbank Eswatini. That's their handle across their social media. You get to get all the information that we've pretty much provided. But I'm sure right now you just want really, really, really small information as to how you go about or where the nearest branch is, if that is what you want. But this has been Charles Mkonda, Head of Sales Support, and we have been discussing their back-to-school loan offering. Let's go for that break. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back. We get into our Enterprise Watch now with the Eswatini National Provident Fund, which has announced an increase to statutory contributions that will affect both employers and employees across the Kingdom of Eswatini. Mlungisi Dlamini, the Senior Marketing and Communications Officer, says the changes are necessary to address the growing demand on the system as well as to keep pace with economic changes. He had a conversation with our business journalist, Nelson Ndlangamandla, where he explained in detail all these changes.
Welcome to Nedbank Business Watch, Mlungisi. We have noticed that there are changes in the statutory contributions as from this month. Can you briefly detail these changes to us?
So basically, every 5 years, the fund, the Ministry of Finance releases a gazette that determines, would say, contributions as far as ENPF will be contributions, what the amount will be for the next 5 years. So what had happened is the previous gazette had sort of lapsed, which was from 2020 to 2025, as 2024. So as from 2025 to 2029, we were anticipating the Pumelenje Gazette. So the new gazette has been released. It's legal notice number 5 of 2025, which then calculates that for every employee who's a Swazi, the employer will deduct how much from their salary and the employer will contribute how much as my contributions that are coming to ENPF. So the ceiling for this year has been set at 4,000 Malangeni, which means the employer will contribute 200 Malangeni And then from the salary of the employee, we'll deduct 200 emalangeni and then send it to ENPF. So the change is basically around 30 emalangeni because last year the total contribution was 370 emalangeni. The 400 emalangeni, which comes to ENPF as a total contribution from the employer, is 10% of 4,000. So it means that it's a ceiling. If you are making 5,000 emalangeni as your salary, it doesn't mean that the employer will deduct 500 and maybe 250. The ceiling is capped. They will assume that you are earning 4,000 emalangeni. So even if you are making 15,000 emalangeni, the contribution applies up to 4,000 emalangeni of your salary. The same applies if you are making below 4,000 emalangeni. So someone who's making 2,000 emalangeni per month, who's getting paid 2,000 emalangeni, the contribution will be 10% of that, which means it will be 200 emalangeni. Thus, the employer will contribute 100 emalangeni and deduct 100 emalangeni from the employee and then send that as a total contribution to ENPF. Same applies to someone making 1,000 emalangeni per month. It would be 100 emalangeni, so 50-50, and they combine it and send it to ENPF.
What are the factors that contribute to these changes in the contributions, Mlungisi?
Okay. The fund, along with the ministry, different ministries, it could be ours, Ministry of Labour, and others engagements that we make, we use what we call actuaries. So the fund has an actuary based in South Africa and others that we use locally that determine, looking at inflation, they then determine what they project in a way that inflation to keep at pace with inflation, the contributions need to grow this much so that when the person retires at 50, the value of Lama contributions, although if you look at the rate things are growing, you find that a lot of people feel that 400 to save starting from today until you're 50 might be outpaced by inflation. But that's how we get to that 5-year determination that, okay, this year it's going to be this year it's going to be this. But what the fund has then done, we've opened up what we call supplementary contributions. So you as an employee, me as an employee, if I decide that, no, you know what, if I really want to live comfortably or maintain the same standard when I'm 50, I need to contribute more. You're allowed to do that. So you can then tell your employer that, okay, you've taken 200 from my salary, but please, can you make it 250? Can you make it 300 instead of the 200? Then you are adding to your savings so that you benefit.
From the bit of information that you have already shared, I can tell that the contributions are very important. This brings me to my next question. On the level of compliance, are companies complying with submitting these contributions?
Generally, employers comply. We have the compliance rate. It changes from time to time, but it's I would say from the registered employers, we have sometimes it's 86, sometimes it's 90, sometimes it's 89. The challenge mainly would be unregistered employers. So that's why we have a compliance section and a compliance team that goes out and tries to educate. Because sometimes it's not that an employer does not want to comply. They don't know how to comply. They don't know where to get the documents and they think it's far. We've introduced digital services. You can just register online as an employer. And that's been doing very well for us. A lot of people are registering, employers are registering online because someone might think, I have to travel from Lavumisa and come to Manzini to register every month. I can't do that. It's going to be very costly just from a petrol stance. So then they decide, no, I'd rather just... Some will say, you know what, let me give you the money. And we have to, like most people, we give them the money and say, save for yourself. They'll use it. They won't.
Which companies are major defaulters when it comes to statutory contributions? Sibonile ngaphambilini lapho khona tinkampani ikakhulukati tinkampani tabo security ukhanze ukuthi kulesinye isikhathi kunalamanye amafirm langakhoni kahle kusubmita lama contributions. Engabe ungasichazela yini ukuthi ngabe ngitiphi leto tinkampani lokukhanzakala ukuthi adiwa submit kahle?
To be honest, labo labanga comply siyaba engage. I wouldn't want to say ukuthi ma security companies specifically, because we have a lot of other sectors where ukhanza ukuthi vele kunema challenges. So I wouldn't want to finger point a certain sector meeting ngiyo lenga comply. You know, it happens ukuthi nje bese se khanza ukuthi le company le, and then it gets out into, it seems every day like how we are seeing this security company, because they happen to have a lot of staff members, so it becomes a big issue. But if you look at our friends, our visitors,
Is it like the SMEs? Is it small?
yes, it's the SMEs. It's sometimes it's even access to technology. You know, the companies that struggle with the technology, can't say bathi computer ivula umbosi akekho ngikhona kwenta lokho yabo. So, and then the companies where can't say abantu babhadalwa vele ngemvilophi, it's hard to trace ukuthi uyambuta umuntu nasakathi utofuna dlando, it's EP pay slip, athi uthi pay slip mina ngithola pay slip bavele banginike nje imali yamanzi phela. That's how we then track ukuthi okay bowuhola vele every month.
The compliance rate is fluctuating from time to time according to what you have shared. What are the major causes of that?
We have an exercise that we do every year. It's called a door-to-door exercise, where we then go to the employers, because normally it's us asking them to come to us, right? So we cover all 4 regions and of the country. We'll go to Shiselweni, stay there, wake up every morning, have a team that wakes up every morning, and visit all the employers, like the rest of the regions. That's what we do. So we tend to find that, yeah, some it's obviously avoidance of the law. Then others, it's just maybe not having enough information. So we then educate them on site.
I've also heard that at a certain age you are eligible to take a certain portion of this money. Can you explain that to us?
No, when you get to be eligible to claim your age benefit, which is 50 years, you are allowed to take 100% of your savings. However, don't take a portion of it, because usasebenza, right, you still have a source of income. You will retire at 60. You have 10 more years. Namanye companies they retire at 65. You have 15 more years. So leave some of this money, take what you need now at 50, and then you are allowed to say every 24 months you are able to claim again. And just to be clear, it's not 2 years, it's 24 months, because lomunye umuntu uvele nje summarize athi 2 years sengifuna kubuya sowuphelile 2 years kanti phela ukhohliwe ukuthi ngaclaima nga-April, kumele ngibuye nga-April phele 24 months. So lokwenteka is if you leave that money, the money that you leave behind will continue to gain interest for you. Kanti naso ithethe yonke and usachubeka usasebenza sekutawungena labo 400 bese naso ufika ku-60 sekuphele 10 years uya-retire, sothi hayi sengiyofuna idlandweni, so vangathi hayi man incane le mali.
Before I let you go, can you please highlight to us the importance of submitting these statutory contributions, especially for employers?
Look, it's a matter of social security all over the world. We are trying to battle issues of homelessness. Naso khulile somdzala so demandla and sekudile longakusida. So we are trying to ensure as a whole that when you get to the retirement stage, you have something to live by. You know, that's why even the fund is pushing so hard for the issue of conversion, because our members have indicated that they have a desire to be a member of the fund forever, even after they withdraw their money. So they wish that we shouldn't operate like a provident fund where we allow them to take all their money. Bese bayaphuma kulesikhwama. Bafuna ukuthi ngisho noma sebayithethe leyo mali kube khona lesalawo sokuthi batokhona ukuchubeka bathole something from lesikhwama sendlala.
Thank you for joining us on Nedbank Business Watch, Mlungisi. We hope that your members will fully understand and be on the lookout for these changes. Nekwekuthi-ke bakhumbule phela ukuthi nabafika lapha 50 years bangabe sebayithatha yonke le mali babekelele ikusasa. Siyabonga kakhulu.
Yeah, the message is simple. Do not take all your contributions at 50 years. That is what the ENPF is saying. Such an engaging conversation there with Nelsu and Dlagamandla, our business journalist. Let's go for a net break. We speak to Sandiswa Dlamini, Nedbank's treasury dealer. We look at the market rates for the day after the break. Let's get into this financial segment. We delve into the latest market movements now, including the US dollar's decline against the Lilangeni, fluctuations in gold as well as oil prices, as well as modest gains in global equity markets. Providing expert insights, I have Nedbank Treasury dealer Sandiswa Dlamini. He's going to shed light on these developments as well as the implications that they have for our economy. Let's start by looking at the US dollar, perhaps, which has depreciated by 1.32% against the Lilangeni Nkosi. What are some of the contributions towards this particular development?
Good afternoon, Sfiso, and good afternoon to your viewers at home. So, as you have rightfully said, the US dollar have slightly depreciated as of this morning. But it's worth highlighting that it had really gained so much ground against the rand, going up to 19.20 in the previous days. So currently it is at 18.8375. The euro is at 19.4216, and the GBP is at 23.0018. So what happened is in the previous days there was economic data from the US which showed that the US economy is gaining strength. In December, they created around 250,000 jobs, which was a big positive compared to their expectations, which were around 160 jobs. This also helps in terms of the strength of the US dollar. And there are also still sentiments which are positive with President Donald Trump, who is taking office on Monday. So those sentiments are also very positively affecting the dollar and in fact positively impacting businesses in the US. So that's why we have seen so much gain in the dollar in the previous days. And
I want to assume that when the economy is looking that good in the US, the same is true for our local economy. When you talk about job creation in the US, because they always say when America sneezes, the whole world catches the cold. I suppose we want America not to sneeze.
Yeah, so as you have rightfully used that analogy, the world is definitely affected by the political landscape in the US.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this time around, it's not so positive. So what we have seen is that Donald Trump have proposed tariffs as he comes into office. So these tariffs are bad news for everyone, even in Europe. As you see, the decline in the euro and GBP, that's mostly coming from the tariffs of Donald Trump. But this morning it was released that the tariffs he intends on implementing them slightly, which means the increases in the percentage of the tariff will not be all at once. They will be gradually put in place. So yeah, currently emerging economies like South Africa, Malaysia have been negatively impacted. As you can see, emerging currencies have been depreciating against the dollar. which is definitely coming from the tariffs that are going to be in place soon.
Donald Trump, man. Anyway, let's look at gold prices now. We are seeing a slight increase there. How do these commodity prices influence the broader financial landscape?
So, thank you for that question. So, in terms of gold, gold is always viewed as a safe haven for the economy. So, in terms of if there are turbulences in the markets, the price of most investors and big businesses will invest their money in gold. So, as you can see, currently the price of gold is up at 2,683. But this increase is also coming from the fact that central banks are currently increasing their stockpiles of gold. So they are the ones who are influencing the price of gold at the moment. And there is also a report that was published by Goldman Sachs which suggests that the prices of gold are expected to stay high and they might reach levels of 3,000 before mid-year 2026. So gold prices are expected to stay high. And in terms of oil, oil have slightly decreased, but just to note, for context, the prices of crude oil had increased from the beginning of the year by around 10%. So this slight decline is just for...
It's very minor.
It's very minor compared to what had just happened. So this increase come from the fact that the markets are expecting that the demand for oil is going to be stable in the next few months, whereas the supply is expected to increase. But this is definitely not expected to last, because it's also been reported that the stockpiles of oil in the US have declined slightly, and we have seen the US impose or improve their sanctions on Russian oil. So what happens is that what was happening is the Russian oil was routed through India and China. So they would sell oil to India and China and then the rest of the world. So what the US have now done is that put sanctions on those trades. So this will put pressure on the price of oil and the supply of oil, which will mean prices might also tend up to increase in the future months.
Man, everyone is dreading that day. We want to get into equity markets now. The S&P 500, the FTSE 100, as well as the Johannesburg Stock Exchange All-Share Index are experiencing modest gains. What does this suggest about, first and foremost, investor sentiment, as well as how might it affect investment strategies in the region?
So thank you for that question. So in terms of our equities, S&P, FTSE, and JSE, I'll start with the JSE All Share. So it have increased to 82,123, and this is actually a bounce back. It had declined in the past. It reached lowest levels in the past 4 months, just recently, and the increase have been attributed to Renet Investments, which have increased today by 8.4%, after they announced that they agreed to sell more than 43 million of their ordinary shares in British American Tobacco. It's a lot. And the price is at 28 pounds per share. They will be selling to institutional investors, though. Right. And MTN Group is also doing well. It's up 7.1%. There's Kumba Iron Ore, which is also up 3.3%. But holistically, in terms of equities have been doing well. Especially, I would say, this S&P, because of American businesses who have those positive sentiments towards Donald Trump taking office soon. And the FTSE, in terms of the FTSE is also responding to an inflation print that was published in the UK this morning. So what's happened is that the UK realized that they have low inflation. They expected higher inflation, but it was quite low at 2.5%. So this puts pressure in the Bank of England to start cutting rates next month. So what we have seen is that as of yesterday, the probability of the Bank of England cutting rates was at 60%. Currently, it's now at 75%, which means it's now a little bit more likely for the UK to see interest rates decline. And to move to the S&P, which is in the US mostly affected by the positive sentiments of Donald Trump. But what's also happening today is that the US is going to be producing their CPI data. And so The market is currently trading cautiously around the S&P because we'll see reactions to it today. And we also have earnings print from the biggest banks, which is BlackRock, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Wells Fargo, and Citigroup. They are also publishing their earnings today, which is going to give us a clearer picture in terms of the economy in the US, because currently we have this idea that it is very strong, but these numbers are going to validate or disprove that.
So much to cover on the ground, Sandiso, but unfortunately time is of the essence, and certainly we have run out of time. Let's go for a quick ad break. We'll come back and cap off the show.
All right, it's 3 p.m. We've come to the end of our program, the first episode of Nedbank Business Watch. Thank you for tuning in. We do hope that you had a lovely time with us. We'll see you next week with Umguni Shumi Nagbili. Have a lovely day.
Enjoy the rest of your afternoon and be blessed. Bye-bye.
Make better money choices. Choose a bank that takes your money seriously. Business Watch was brought to you by Nedbank.